Good morning again, everybody. This presentation is a little mixture of one that I did previously with this group and one that I did for another networking group. So kind of combined them both. I've been working on this one for a little while, but this one's kind of more geared to what does our company offer to our customers on a daily basis when we go out to these service calls. A little, I believe this was on the last slide, but I always feel like this is kind of important to just bring up, right? So of course, these are the obvious answers to what does it take to be a plumber. You got to have knowledge of plumbing practices and codes. You got to have capabilities of troubleshooting. You got to have the proper plumbing equipment, right? You got to be able to work well independently, have critical thinking skills, and strong communication skills to be able to communicate what's going on your job to the homeowner. So, World Health Organization says plumbing workers are among the most important frontline healthcare workers. Why is that? Well, plumbers, we provide safe water consumption, keep contamination away from the home. We reduce water consumption. So with the water fixtures that we do install, we always make sure that we're installing water saving fixtures, and hygiene purposes. We keep people clean, healthy, hydrated, happy, right? So, so that's why plumbing is important, right? So on the next slide, this is kind of where I'm gearing towards what we offer our customers. So number one, you got respect for your time, on-time appointments, straightforward pricing. Our truck's like a warehouse on wheels, and we'll fix it right the first time, so you don't have to bother making a second appointment. Next is respect for your home. We're going to be neat, clean, professional, use floor savers, proven parts and equipment, and safety and comfort. So we're going to work safely in order so the homeowner can be comfortable with us being in their home. And then the best team, of course, you got to be we're background checked, drug tested, licensed, bonded, and insured, and experienced. So that's that. And then the best guarantees as well: parts and materials, equipment, labor, and the customer satisfaction is most important, right? I gotta make sure that they're 100% satisfied with the work that I'm providing. So there's that. A lot of people don't really know how a service call, like how the process of a service call works. And it's really 8 steps. First step, I'm coming out and I'm taking a look at today's symptoms. What's going on? Is it a leaky faucet? So I take a look at the leaky faucet. Not only am I looking at that leaky faucet, but I'm doing a system evaluation. I'm going to diagnose the entire system. I'm going to figure out the solutions and what's causing that faucet to leak. I'll share what I find with the customer. I'm going to explain to them what we found during the system evaluation. If I found high pressure, anything of concern, I'm going to bring it to their attention. And then after I do that, I provide the homeowner with their options and the straightforward pricing. So when I provide them with the options, I give them the no hassle, straightforward pricing, and that's how I go about that. And then once the homeowner selects their solution, I make sure that we always provide the industry leading guarantees. So no matter what they pick, any option that they pick is going to be a great option, and I'm going to back up my work 100%. So we're going to get the job done right, and then last step is just the paperwork and investment. So that's really it as far as running a service call for a homeowner. Then in the next slide I have right here is most system repairs are caused by just 5 problems, really, right? You got age of system. So is it an old home? If it's an old home, has a lot of wear and tear, it makes sense that, you know, you're going to have some failures when it comes to the system. Water pressure. If you have high water pressure leads to leaks and it leads to other issues. And then you have water quality, of course. So with a mixture of high water pressure and bad water quality, you're going to expect leaks. What is, you know, water quality, meaning the hard water and the contaminants in our water, like the chemicals and the minerals. Poor installation, come across this too, where there's some kind of installation error or just a design error in the part itself, or if it was installed not up to safety or code. So that'll cause any kind of issues as far as the system's concerned. And then last but not least, this one's probably the biggest one, is lack of maintenance. A lot of people do not do maintenance on their plumbing, and that also leads to issues. So that's that. Some of these pictures I believe I had on the last slide, but this is one that Simon referred over to us. And this is just an example of pressure regulating valves. They get old, you know, they're balancing the pressure to the home, and you know, they're under that constant pressure. So over like, you know, 15-20 years, those do fail. And so it's good to, you know, check your pressure periodically. Just make sure that your home's not experiencing high pressure. So in this example, yeah, we changed out the pressure regulator valve, the shutoff valve, and I think I did the hose bib. And then they wanted to move over the dryer and the laundry to another bay. So this is just like the before images. The next image is how everything looked when it was done. I put the shutoff on the bottom. So if you ever need to replace the regulator, you don't need to shut it off at the street. You can just shut the ball valve out, disassemble the unions and swap it out easy. And then you have the gas line that we moved up to the top portion of the room, just because the dryer was on the top of the washer, and then moving over the water lines for the washer as well. So that's that. And then oh yeah, back to lack of maintenance. You know, if you don't do the flushing on your water heater, it just gets clogged. So that's where I have a lot of fun. I'm going to drain a water heater, and I open up that hose bib, and it just starts dribbling. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be here a while waiting for this water heater to drain. And so that's just the important part of doing the maintenance. You know, you're gonna make sure that you're not letting all that accumulate in your tank, because once that starts accumulating in the tank, there's no really getting it out.
Can you just stick a clothes hanger up there and clean it out?
You could try, you know, but I've done things in the past. What I typically do in scenarios like this is I will disassemble it and put in a full port ball valve. And you know, it can get a little messy, so I don't really do this stuff in the house, but like maybe in the garage or something like that, and in a contained area. And then once I put in a full port ball valve and I open that thing up, it should just like get a lot of that stuff out. But even then, I've had scenarios where it's been clogged, so it just kind of depends. And then the next image, oh, this was referral given to us by Coast View Restoration. And yeah, they called us out because the customer's ceiling was collapsing on them, and they were having a leak. So crawled up in the attic and saw that they were having a little leak going on. Shut off the water to the home, drained the system, cut out the compromised section of piping, and then just replaced it with new copper piping. And that is, yeah, the image of me removing the old pipe. The one on the far right is the new copper that I installed, Pro Press, which makes life really easy. And yeah, so that's that. And oh, this is just an image of a faucet that I did down in Newport Beach. The customer was like, oh, I think my faucet's old, it doesn't have a handle and this and that, it's not working. So took a look at that, disassembled it. She just bought a new faucet, so I installed a customer supplied faucet for her, so she was happy. And the next image, oh, this was a reroute. I ended up having to do, there was a slab leak down in Dana Point. Customer, this is somebody I worked with for a few years. She has a business also in Laguna. And so she called me out, said, hey, my floors are like feeling wet. And went over there, checked it out. And yeah, she had like a little puddle forming underneath the cabinets. Found the line was leaking. So we abandoned the existing line, rerouted the new line, and then also did another reroute because she wanted to move the fridge to the other side of the kitchen. So rerouted that, and yeah, that project was a little challenging, but it was fun. And that was like the finished results after doing the reroute. Yeah, ice maker box and everything like that. So yeah, and then this is just our team. That's me, my brother Trey, and my partner Glenn. And yeah, we just want to say thank you guys for you know, everything that you guys have been doing for us, and we appreciate this group so much. And any questions?
I can say from personal experience that Zach will take you from crisis mode to, you know, even keel, because he really does come out and he does a super methodical way that he approaches your plumbing and everything, and he shows up, and I've got like 3 neighbors. Hey, when you're done over here, when you're done over here. So it was like, that was kind of rewarding just to know a good plumber is in need. So
Also, just kind of wanted to pass this around to show like what the plumbing system inspection entails. Like, I have this sheet that I bring into every home, and it's just to help me be really thorough with everybody's home and their entire system. So I'll look at their water pressure, look at their water heater, I'll look at everything. So yeah, that sheet's really helpful. A lot of times when I fill that out, I'll fill that out in the presence of the homeowners. Sometimes they'll follow me along, and we'll talk about everything together. Sometimes they're on a business call or they're busy, so this right here is very helpful for me. I usually give them a copy of that. They're able to review it, so then if I have to call them back and go over any of the work that or anything that was of concern that I brought to their attention, they have that to refer to. So
to follow up on Andy's comment, I think Zach and Glenn have been at my house probably 3-4 times in the last 7 months since my son's been born, or even before then actually. And they really are saviors. I think it was the specific story that I'm thinking about is probably a couple of weeks before my son was born. We had a big issue with the faucet in our powder room, and we the countertop and the vanity there, it's a porcelain slab, and we needed to find a faucet that was coming out from the wall, but that was the perfect length for the depth of our sink. And obviously, since it was a porcelain slab, we didn't want to have to remove the slab because that could have caused a lot of problems, and we like the slab. So we're like, man, I think we got to come in from the back wall, which we didn't really want to open the wall either, but we know what to do. So we called them out. They came out. They said, no problems. We'll come in through the back. We definitely don't want to mess with the slab. And I was so concerned of how is that going to look? Is it going to look messy? They were amazing. They literally cut out a perfect little square where they could come in from the back. I mean, the neatest cutout I've ever seen. And they did their work. They were literally sitting at my dining table, calling all their reps, trying to find what's the perfect faucet, perfect size. And the one thing he did say in his presentation was, he'll be honest with what you should do. And, the one thing they said is, listen, you don't need to go break the bank, but with a faucet, especially powder room, you don't want to cheap out on it. Let's get you something decent. So yeah, they literally found everything, did it all. So they're amazing. They're saviors.
Thank you so much, Elon. Thank you.
And definitely comes out and does emergency repair work. Not only did you do that for my mom on a Sunday, when, her water heater was leaking and she calls me in a panic. Zach came out and fixed that on a Sunday. And just this last weekend, right after Thanksgiving, I got a call from, literally a house that BTN built, the Glove Key.
That house is so beautiful.
And that
house is so nice.
Structurally, we did some, anyway, the water heater, it was decent at the time, so we just replaced that. The plumber's no longer in the area. Zach came out and fixed the plumbing with the whole family there, and and so replaced the water heater.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, no problem. No, thank you for the referral. Yeah, they're really nice. Yes.
Zach, I think it was cool. I think this is your third presentation, but man, it was very well done.
Yeah.
By far the best one you've done. Very informative. And what I wanted to say, I think it's clear that you're good at what you do and you're reliable and you respond.
I appreciate that.
But it's clear to me that you're working on your business.
Yeah.
I see a big difference now in your presentation, your offerings. I'm really proud of you for the work you're doing on your business. And
thank you.
To continue to help you guys.
Right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been giving a lot more energy towards that. So yeah.
On your business versus in your business.
Right, exactly. There's a big difference. All right.
Do you do repiping, like replumbing?
Yeah, gas repipes, water repipes, redrain, whatever you guys need. Yeah, typically we do it in PEX now, unless the customer wants to do it in copper. But yeah.
And you go overhead usually?
Yeah, if it's like a slab, right, we're gonna go overhead. But if it's a raised foundation, you can just crawl underneath the home and you get everything done underneath.
What's the optimum water pressure for a house?
Well, you don't want to be over 80. Anything that exceeds 80 is going to be harmful to your fixtures. So if it exceeds 80 psi, that's harmful to your plumbing. So a lot of times when I put in a pressure regulator valve, I'll keep it between like 65 to 70 psi. That's adequate pressure.
Is there much difference in pressure that the PEX can take versus the copper?
I mean, and it comes down to really like the fixtures in itself too, though. A lot of the fixtures is what you really don't want to have experiencing the high pressure. But high pressure is just not really good to have on the system. A lot of people love it though. You know, I've gone to homes in Coto de Caza where their pressure's over 100, and customers like, man, I love this shower. Every time I shower, this thing is so good. And I'm like, okay, when they start saying that, it makes me kind of like, okay, let me check this pressure because this guy's really enjoying the shower. And then it's like, okay, your pressure is like 115. Like, I understand you love having the high pressure, but your house is having a heart attack. Like, you know,
No
so
kidding.
like we need to like reduce that. And then, yeah, once we reduce it, I mean, it's just like, yeah, dude, you don't got that, you know, you're not being pressure washed anymore, but I mean, your house is like a lot more appreciative, you know. But you know, it's like you gotta think about what's better for the home, right? So,
So
yeah.
is there something, Zach, that where you could regulate the overall house, but then maybe have like a reserve for a shower, for like the master shower, for example?
You might not be able to mention
like,
things
like
like-
extend before the regulator and like I don't I wouldn't advise that, but yeah.
What about a pump or something?
Or compressor.
A pump.
A pump that would build up pressure for a shower, do they make something like that?
I mean, they do have pumps. Yeah, like I've done some homes in Huntington Beach that are 3-story homes, and like they would be complaining about the water pressure on the 3rd floor because they're not getting, you know, adequate pressure. And so yeah, I've installed pumps to like bring the pressure up in those scenarios. But a lot of times it's the opposite here in Southern California where the pressure's too high. So. Yeah.
Well, and then the flow restrictors that we all, everything that gets
Yeah.
sold here,
Yeah.
you can play with those.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and that,
Mhm.
that will then, you know, bump the pressure way back up as far as the flow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you kind of get around that.
Because for the car, I call them the car wash showers.
Uh-huh.
You know, the ones where having multiple heads on them. and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
It's like, how would you do that for those? Because the pressure is important on that end.
Yeah, it's pressure balancing. Yeah. So how would I?
Yeah, because like some of them, you know how when especially out towards Coto,
Mhm,
where they
mhm.
end up using a lot of those, right? You know, you
Mhm.
have multiple heads and stuff
Mhm.
there, and you need that pressure because it's just that dribble.
Right, right. Well, to be honest, 65 to 75 is adequate pressure. Like it's gonna function perfectly fine. You don't need it to be like that high. Yeah. So yeah, that pressure's fine, really. Funny thing about pressure is, yeah, like the home could be under one pressure, and then another system, your irrigation should be like way lower. But like, yeah, the home is 65, 75 is perfectly fine, even with those multiple heads and stuff.
Are there restrictions because of the low flow in Title 24? Can you put in multiple fixtures in a shower and allow the homeowner to turn them all on? Is there any restrictions on that you know of?
Not that I know of. Yeah, I believe that like long as all the fixtures itself are regulated, like they could run multiple at a time. Yeah.
Usually there's a little joint, a little washer
Like a little, yeah.
coming out. You just pop it.
Yeah, they're making it a lot harder to
Yes.
pull out. Not every fixture is like that anymore. I know like back in the day, people would just like yank them out, you know, and they'd be like, perfect, no regulation, you know, but yeah, some of them, they're really hard to remove, so it just kind of depends on the make.
So do you put a separate pressure regulator on irrigation?
I do, yeah. A lot of people don't know that, but like your PVC piping, you don't really want to have it exceeding like 40 psi, you know.
And
So
is that what helps cause the water hammer issues when that pressure's too high?
yeah, if your pressure is too high, it'll cause water hammering. Yeah, or like if it's not strapped properly, it needs to be strapped. Pipe should be strapped every 6 feet. So if like there's improper strapping going on, and then you got high pressure, and then you're turning something on, like a solenoid valve that closes really quickly, like for the laundry, it'll cause a vibration or something like that. So yeah, plumbing's fun. It's a process of elimination. Sometimes you walk into a home and you got to really have the homeowner describe something to you, because maybe they're gonna say something that's gonna catch your attention. Like it could be a noise that they're experiencing. It could be something that maybe you're not aware of because you're walking to the home for the first time. This is someone who's been living in it for however many years. So yeah, it's important to really listen to people when they're when you're doing your evaluation.
I just want to say a little thing for Zach is one of my projects that a lot of you guys are working on, I was having to sell the proposal to them, and they got to the plumbing and they're like, why so much? And I explained the way Zach explained it to me when he was at my house. I explained it to them, and they were so freaking grateful that he's doing that before they put all this money into this house. And when the home inspector goes through, he's not gonna be afraid to touch any of the plumbing and go, oh, this needs to be replaced. It's all gonna be new. All the shut-off valves are all gonna be new.
Yeah.
They're all rusted. We're down by the beach. None of them turned, right?
Yeah, no, they were all shot. Yeah.
So you go to turn one of those, and now you've got a water leak. So.
Yeah. No, like, you don't want to put in the Brazilian Verde or whatever, and then, like, you know, next thing you know, oh shoot, you gotta rip that out because, you know, you put that over some old plumbing, you know what I mean? And you spent 30 grand on this. It looks beautiful, but you could have spent, you know, yeah, no, but like, it's important, you know, it's important to make sure all that's good. Was there any other questions, concerns? Yeah.
Semi-question, semi-comment on my father-in-law's house. I recommended that you call AJ, and he did, and then I think AJ called you to go out, and your assessment was perfect. But then they ran into an issue, not because of you, but because with the insurance, they had to hire a plumber through the insurance.
Yeah.
And is that something that you run into a lot? Like, in other words, they had to go through ServPro, and ServPro had their own plumber, so I couldn't get it back to you to finish the job.
Yeah, they will have maybe like their particular plumbers that they work with, but I believe as a homeowner, you ultimately have the decision of who you want to work with. But a lot of times the insurance will really like push, you know, their guys. So yeah, that's common, you know. So.
I wasn't involved in that part, but I just know that he said, oh, we had to use a different one.
That's why you need an attorney to come in and say no.
Yeah. Okay, nothing there.
Bonded or not.
Use that.
All right. Well, right on, guys. Yeah, thank you for listening to me, and